Alright, if you watched the last video, I finished the studs in the spice rack over on the left here. I'm now gone back and I've put felt in between the face of all these studs and the van body, and it's really quiet. It should be great. I've used felt everywhere. If you watched any of the cabinet videos and stuff, I used felt in between all the contact surfaces. It's a higher density, kind of heavy felt. I got it at Hobby Lobby. They have a soft felt and kind of a firmer one. It just feels like it should wear really well from any abrasion or rubbing. So I've also put that on the faces of the bottom of the studs where it's contacting the countertop. Anyway, I've also put one coat of paint on the spice rack. It's Fusion Mineral Paint. The color is called Little Lamb. When I painted it immediately, I saw nothing but Duplicolor high build primer. So that's what it looks like to me. So I haven't decided if I'm going to stick with this color or not, but it's actually growing on me a little bit. It's got possibly a tiny bit more of a blue hue in it than the Duplicolor primer. Let's have to wait and see. I do not want to disassemble all this and repaint it. I'm not just going to mask and paint. All this trim would have to come back off. But now I'm going to start doing some cutting on the cedar. I've already kind of worked this contour here and cut one or two of the big boards. So it's going to go straight all the way across. I'll probably have to do some spacing in the back here because it's not perfectly flush. These studs, the walls of the van's a tiny bit concave, so there's probably a 1/4 inch gap or so between the stud and the van. So I haven't decided if I'm just going to squeeze it up since the cedar will flex or if I'm going to put a spacer back there. Probably the latter. But anyway, I'm going to get started cutting some cedar and closing this thing in. See what it looks like. Got the wall pretty much mocked up. Everything's got to come off for finish sanding and paint and a couple final adjustments, but really nice lines around the flare. Pretty happy with, and fits real snugly to the countertop. Outlet. Also got a first coat of paint on the spice rack, as I mentioned earlier. It's looking pretty good. I've got to pull the toilet box back out and put some studs behind on either side of the toilet, and that'll give a place to screw on the last bit of cedar down the wall. You want it to be nice and solid, especially around your feet over there. That's about it for tonight. Alright, I've got the cedar planking installed down to the countertop. I've got some of the other pieces built up and glued together already. Now I need to build a stud for next to the toilet box and one for in front of the toilet box, which I've removed along with the refrigerator so I can get in and do some work in there. So to do that, I've got some 3/4 inch ply, scrap wood, and I've just cut it at a 30-degree angle up top and at the bottom, and that fits nicely into the grooves in the body. And I'm going to do a riv nut up top because I've got the room, and I'm going to do 2 8/32 screws with lock nuts on the bottom because I don't have the room for a riv nut. And I'll put felt on the back of this so it doesn't squeak against the body, and then I'll be able to screw the planking straight into that, and that'll pretty much finish this up for this wall. I'm thinking I'll put one more layer of thinsulate in just on this wall because I can. I've got it. I've got a bunch left over and it doesn't weigh much, and I guess every little bit of insulation helps in the grand scheme. So that's where we are, and I'm going to get started attaching these studs. Just doing a quick catch-up video on the wall, and sparing you guys the long wall build. I'm just gonna film the last bit and explain anything that needs to be explained. But I've taken the same cedar planking that I used on the ceiling, and I'm gluing pieces together in 3 and 4 into big panels instead of just having them individually, just for a little bit more rigidity and less movement. I was going to put a second layer of insulation in because I have the width, but I decided to leave it open for airflow. If anything moisture does get in here, I'm of the camp that I want it to be able to escape. So it's open on the bottom and it's open on the top. So I'll be able to get inside and inspect there, and there'll be airflow available. Should cut down on the chance of mold and moisture, and at least I'll be able to see it if it does happen. It won't be trapped behind some panels. Anyway, I'm working on the last few up here. Also wired in the Cobb LED. It's recessed into the overhead console. It's really bright. Looks great shining down on the countertop for cooking and such. And I've just got it hooked to a 12-volt paddle switch. The second one over here will be for the bottom sides of the cabinet at your feet. I don't really need it there. It'll just be kind of accent lighting and look nice, and I already wired for it. It's just to have. And then I've got one more AC outlet with some USBs. One of the guys on the Sprinter forum asked why I'm bothering to put USB AC outlets in here. Why would I be running an inverter to, take the 12 volts to 120 and then a transformer to bring it back down to 5 volts? Well, the answer is I've already got several different 12 volt chargers in different places. And we'll have a couple on the headboard of the bed where we can plug in to charge our devices at night and everything. It's a lot more efficient. You don't want to face the losses of converting up to 120 and then stepping it back down. It'd be silly. So these are here because I'm going to have the AC outlet anyway. This particular one is mainly for my coffee maker. I'm going to have a Keurig. This guy right here will be set up when we're stationary. Right here. It'll fit with the bed out. And that'll be plugged in there, but I'm already going to have these outlets regardless, so there's no reason not to have some USB in there so we can charge. If I don't have the AC running, I've got gobs of extra electricity. The other reason is these ports are, I don't remember how many watts, 65 watts or something, but they put out a lot of power, and they put out more power than some of the DC ones. So anyway, it's useful to have. I've got that one. I've got one over here, and I really don't plan to use AC too much. And I've got one out there that doesn't have USB. I just couldn't think of any good reasons to have USB outside there. So anyway, that's an update on the wall. I'll film the last bit. I'm just going to be installing these two outlets and closing this in. These panels, as I mentioned, are all glued together. They're fairly complex. They've actually got spacers on the back of a lot of these of varying thicknesses to help it meet the wall where I want it to meet and to keep the lines smooth. So like everything else on this van, it's taking a lot longer than I would like it to, and the fit and finish is going to be nice though. It's pretty close. I don't have it making contact anywhere. Cedar's so light that it doesn't really squeak, so it shouldn't be a problem with sound, and it's very solid. So anyway, let's get started on finishing this, and then I'll be able to work on some of the closeout panels over the flares and this ugly mess up here, which I still haven't decided exactly how I'm going to close that out, but it'll look nice one way or another. All right. about finished this wall. I'm waiting on some 8/32 riv nuts that are going to go up here. There's going to be 6 coat holders, coat hangers for hats and whatever. Just making use of the space for storage. And then I've got the piece that covers the flare back there painted up. So as soon as those riv nuts come this afternoon, this wall will be complete. Now I'm working on this side, which I've already kind of got the bulk of the wall done, but I'm making this piece, and I'm making the piece that's going to cover the C-pillar. This is a little tricky. It's just a kind of an odd shape, and then it's split at the bottom right here, so I'm actually going to do a cut on the board and then use some 3M double-sided tape to attach it. Some good trim tape, and I'll have to paint the back to give the tape something to adhere to, but I think it'll look really nice, and it'll certainly be on there solid. Then I can pull all this up. I've got some spacers to make for the top where it meets the ceiling, and then this side will be done, and I can do some paint work over here. I'll be really getting close. Unfortunately, I still have to pull the whole ceiling back out and match the stain on the countertop, which is going to be fun. It shouldn't be too bad. It's just a totally different kind of wood and it has different hues, so it's going to be a different mix. But I'm going to go ahead and finish up this piece. I've got the walls all finished up inside. I've got a couple more small pieces that go in the back behind the bed, but it turned out great. I've got some stainless screws on the way. I'm going to change out these brown antique bronze ones for stainless and actually leave it stainless for now to see how it looks. If I don't like it, I'll paint it, but I think it'll give it a nice look. Made this piece. It splits and kind of follows the contour of the C-pillar. It's attached with 3M VHB tape. It's super strong. Hope I don't ever have to take it off because I'll be remaking that piece. But it looks really nice. I'm going to be making a piece to cover the back up top on next to the ceiling panels there. I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it yet. I'll probably use a couple pieces of cedar laminated together and just kind of follow the contours down a bit. But I'm not going to do that yet. I've got one more panel that's drying right now to go there, and then we're really getting close on the interior. I've got a spare tire carrier and a generator box to build and weld up and attach to the back. But other than that, the van's getting really close. Next is staining the ceiling to match the countertops. So unfortunately the whole ceiling has to come back out, and I've got to finally figure out exactly how I'm closing in this area around the sliding door. So stay tuned for that, and if you've got any ideas or suggestions on how you closed out your sliding door area, post them in the comments. For now, it's coming along.